Ever wish you could just, like, download the mindset of someone super successful?
Yeah, like a brain implant or something.
Uh-huh, exactly. Well, today's deep dive is all about how to rewire your thinking to unlock your potential. We're going deep on John C. Maxwell's book, How Successful People Think.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Right. And trust me, it's way more practical than just, your average self-help pep talk.
It really is. There's this YouTube video that breaks down his 10 thinking styles, and it's full of real-world examples of how people like Elon Musk and Oprah Winfrey actually use these approaches.
Okay, so first up is big picture thinking. So this isn't just about, dreaming big, right?
Right, it's more like having a built-in GPS for your life.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah, so successful people aren't just focused on their to-do list for today. They're always looking ahead, visualizing where they want to be years down the line. And that long-term vision guides their decisions, even when things get crazy.
I never thought of it like that. So instead of getting stuck in the day-to-day, it's about taking a step back and asking, where do I actually want to be in 5, 10 years?
Exactly. And having that clarity helps you make choices that, actually align with your big goals.
Okay, that makes sense. It's like if you were planning a road trip across the country, you wouldn't just start driving randomly, would you?
No way. You'd map out your route, right? Identify key destinations, make sure you're headed in the right direction. Big picture thinking is like creating that roadmap for your life.
Okay, that makes total sense. But let's be real, even with a roadmap, it's so easy to get distracted. This video also talks about focused thinking. Honestly, that feels like a superpower these days.
It kind of is, especially with all the notifications and information overload we're bombarded with.
Ugh, tell me about it.
So, focused thinking isn't about trying to multitask everything at once. It's about prioritizing what really matters and giving it your full attention.
So, like blocking out time for deep work, silencing your phone, maybe even kicking everyone out of the room.
Exactly. Steve Jobs was amazing at this. He famously simplified Apple's product line because he believed that real innovation came from saying no to a ton of things to focus on just a few, and look at what he accomplished.
Yeah, it's so tempting to try and juggle everything.
Yeah.
But maybe saying no more often is the key to actually getting things done.
hmm
Speaking of getting things done, what about creativity? I feel like some people are just like naturally more creative than others?
That's a common myth. Maxwell argues that creative thinking is a skill that anyone can develop.
Really?
Yeah, it's about questioning your assumptions, looking for unexpected connections, and constantly challenging the way things are usually done. Think about Walt Disney. He totally revolutionized animation, not because he was born with some magical creative gene, but because he dared to imagine things no one else had even considered.
So instead of waiting for inspiration to strike, it's about actively looking for new perspectives and just trying different things.
Exactly. Next time you face a problem, try brainstorming the three totally different solutions. No matter how wild they might seem at first, you might surprise yourself.
Okay, this is already blowing my mind. But the video also mentions realistic thinking, strategic thinking, possibility thinking, and reflective thinking. How do those fit into the picture?
It's like having a mental toolbox with all sorts of tools for different situations. You need the big, expansive vision of possibility thinking, but also the grounded planning of strategic thinking. Realistic thinking helps you see the risks and obstacles, and reflective thinking helps you learn from what's happened in the past.
So it's not about picking one style and ignoring the rest. It's more about understanding which ones you need in different situations.
Exactly. Each style can help you in different ways. It's about knowing their strengths and using them strategically.
That's super helpful. I'm already starting to see how all this could make a real difference in how I deal with problems and make decisions. Okay, this is awesome. So we've covered a lot about individual thinking, but what about working with others? Does Maxwell talk about that?
Yeah, definitely. Actually, two of the remaining styles are all about collaboration and how we can add value to
Oh,
others.
interesting. So what are they?
He calls them shared thinking and unselfish thinking. It's easy to think that success is, like a solo mission, but that's usually not the case.
Yeah, that makes sense. So shared thinking is about realizing that we don't always have all the answers, and sometimes the best ideas come from bouncing things off other people.
Exactly. It's about creating an environment where people feel comfortable sharing their opinions, even challenging ideas and just working together to find the best solutions. Like, think about Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak. They were such a legendary partnership. They
Yeah.
both had different strengths and perspectives, and their collaboration led to something incredible.
That makes a lot of sense. So what about unselfish thinking? Is that like saying just be a good person?
Well, it's definitely about considering others, but it goes a bit deeper than that. It's about realizing that real success often comes from focusing on how you can contribute to something bigger than yourself.
Okay, so like how you can make a positive impact.
Yeah, exactly. Like, think of someone like Mother Teresa. Her whole life was dedicated to helping others, and her work still inspires people today.
It's like that saying, a rising tide lifts all boats. When we help others, everyone benefits in the end.
Totally. It's a shift from thinking, what can I get, to what can I give? It makes a huge difference, not just in how you affect the world, but also in your own sense of purpose.
I love that. Okay, so we've covered all 10 styles now. Big picture, focused, creative, realistic, strategic, possibility, reflective, shared, and unselfish. That's a lot. Where do we even start to apply all of this?
Well, the key is to start small. You don't have to change everything overnight. Choose one or two styles that resonate with you
Yeah.
and start incorporating them, bit by bit. Like, if you struggle with distractions, try having a dedicated time for focused work and see what happens.
So it's like building a new habit. The more we practice, the better we get.
Exactly. And don't be afraid to experiment, see what works and what doesn't. Everyone's different.
This is so inspiring. I'm already thinking about which styles I want to work on. But are there any traps people should look out for, when they try to use these ideas?
That's a great question. I think the biggest mistake is trying to do too much at once. Remember, it's about making progress, not being perfect. Start small and build from there.
So instead of trying to master every style at the same time, it's better to choose a couple and really focus on them.
Right. And it's also really important to be patient with yourself. It takes time and effort to build new habits. Some days you might slip back into old ways of thinking, and that's okay. Just recognize it, learn from it, and keep going.
Yeah, it's like learning any new skill. It takes practice and, dealing with those bumps along the way. But what about those times when you're stuck on a really tough problem and none of these styles seem to be working? What do you do then?
That's when it's even more important to step back, look at things again, and maybe even ask for help from someone else.
Oh, that's a good point.
Talk to a friend, a mentor, a colleague, someone you trust. Sometimes getting a fresh perspective can help you break through those mental blocks and find new solutions.
So even though these are individual thinking styles,
Yeah.
we don't always have to solve problems alone.
Absolutely. And that brings us back to unselfish thinking. When we approach problems as a team with the mindset of helping each other and contributing to something bigger, we open ourselves up to so many more possibilities.
I love that. Okay, we've really covered a lot. We explored all 10 of Maxwell's thinking styles, how to start using them, and even some pitfalls to watch out for. What's the one thing you really hope listeners will take away from this?
It's funny. When you start to see the world through the lens of these thinking styles,
Yeah.
you start to notice them everywhere. Like, you can almost see how successful people are using them, even if they don't realize it.
Like a secret code.
Totally. And once you know the code,
You can unlock anything.
exactly.
This has been such an eye-opening deep dive
I agree.
into how successful people think. I feel like,
Like, you've got a whole new set of tools.
yes, a mental toolkit I never knew I needed.
That's what I love about Maxwell's work.
It's not just theory.
It's practical stuff you can actually use to, shape your thinking and get results.
And the best part is,
What?
it's not about like fitting into some mold of what success is supposed to look like.
Oh, absolutely not.
It's about understanding yourself, your strengths and your weaknesses,
Yeah.
and then choosing the thinking styles that work for you,
Exactly. It's about realizing that success is a journey
not a destination.
and that the most important thing is to keep learning and growing.
So
Yeah.
instead of being overwhelmed by all these different styles,
Right.
it's about picking one or two to focus on
Practice, practice, practice.
until they become like second nature.
Exactly.
And it's okay
What a...
if it's not perfect at first.
Oh, for sure.
It's all about progress.
Definitely.
There will be bumps along the way,
Always are.
but we just got to learn from our mistakes and keep going.
You got it.
So if you could give our listeners just one piece of advice
Okay.
to help them, on their own journeys to success,
That's a tough one.
what would it be?
I would say this.
Yeah.
Don't underestimate the power of your own thoughts,
Ooh, I like that.
because your thoughts shape your belief.
And our beliefs shape our actions.
Right. And then those
These
actions.
create our reality.
Exactly. So choose to think thoughts that empower you, that inspire you.
That move us closer to our goals.
You got it.
Wow, that is such a great reminder, and it's the perfect way to wrap up this deep dive into John C. Maxwell's How Successful People Think. I hope everyone listening has learned as much as I have.
Me too. It's been fun.
This has been amazing.
It really has.
And remember, everyone,
Yeah.
the journey to success starts with a single thought. So, what will your next thought be?